Welcome back to another Sunday prep day. If you're new here, every Sunday I prep for the week. So that means cutting all my vegetables and making things that take a little bit longer. So today I'm going to make some pulled pork that I'll use in several meals. And I'll make some tomato soup for tomorrow. So I'm going to start off by cutting up some onions. One onion is for the soup. One onion is for the pulled pork, and then I'll just cut two more for a few different things that we'll get to when we go over the meal plan. So I'll just put all my soup stuff in one big container, and I'll have one other big container for my pulled pork to gather some ingredients for that. So, the meal plan for today, as always, I don't usually have breakfast, so I'm not going to mention anything like that. And most of my lunches are low-carb, keto-friendly, except on the weekend when I have my cheat days. And today I'm going to have some sandwiches. I have some whole wheat rolls that I freshly baked this morning. Well, they're like partly pre-baked. I just have to finish baking in the oven. And I'll have that with some chicken breast, and I might put some cheese spread on as well. So that's the only lunch you'll hear this week that has a lot of carbs in it. So, because I am diabetic, I had to cut some carbs, and the easiest way for me to do that was just to cut them from one meal completely. And the easiest way was lunch. Then for dinner tonight, I'm going to have some burgers. I bought some pre-formed jalapeno burgers yesterday. And I'll put that on some whole wheat rolls that I also just baked off. And I'll have some lettuce with that, some pickles. I still have some pickled cucumbers left over from last week when I made... Was it last week or the week before? When I made those in a video. I'll have some probably some curry ketchup, because if you don't know, in the Netherlands, part of Belgium and Germany, curry ketchup is a thing, which is ketchup that actually tastes like something. Has a lot of spices in it. So that's my ketchup of choice. And obviously being European, I like some mayo on my burger. Maybe I'll do some spicy mayo. We'll just see. But yeah, nice chewy whole wheat bread is what I like for burgers, to have a little bit of a contrast. Then Monday, I do meatless Mondays. So for lunch, I'm going to have that tomato soup that I mentioned. I'll prepare that today, and then tomorrow I just need to warm that through. And for dinner, I'm going to do a couscous salad with some falafel. So the couscous salad is just couscous with some cucumber, peppers, lots and lots of parsley, that kind of stuff. And I'll have that with some falafel. I did not make my own falafel. Sometimes I do, just not very often, because I'm just by myself, and making one portion is just not really worth the effort, if I'm honest. But I bought some, and I'll just throw those in the air fryer. And if you saw my grocery haul video, you might have seen the shelf-stable tzatziki sauce that I picked up yesterday to try out. Falafel is a good way to test that out. Sometimes I make my own tzatziki, but again, sometimes just buying it ready-made is easier, and I wanted to try it out. So the spring onions, by the way, are mostly just for garnish on a few things, like the soup and stuff. It just looks prettier with a bit of green on it. Then I have some garlic cloves. I'll take 3 cloves with my soup ingredients, 3 cloves with my pulled pork. Those don't need to be chopped. And the other cloves I will dice up nice and fine. So then we're on Tuesday. I have a whole bunch of pork. I don't know what the cut is called in English. It's cut from the ham, so from the leg, but it's not cured, so it's not ham, but it's from that area. So I'll use that in several meals, and on Tuesday for lunch, I'll do some pork skewers. I'll marinate that, probably in like some soy sauce, garlic, ginger, if I have it, well, ginger powder. And then I'll grill those, and I'll have those with some broccoli. And then for dinner, I do Taco Tuesdays. I'm going to have some pulled pork tacos. So again, I'm going to make a bigger batch of pulled pork, and I'll use that for several meals. That just makes meal planning a lot easier. What are we going to do next? Let's do some chilies. So I have some cayenne. I have some jalapeno. I'll slice the cayenne nice and fine. I really need to sharpen my knives. I just keep putting it off. These global knives, they're Japanese style knives, so they keep their edge for a very long time, but when you do have to sharpen them, it's just a little bit more involved. So I always put it off. But yeah, these cayenne, especially the red, I'll throw some in my soup. I'll have some in my pulled pork. So the green, that can go in my pulled pork. Some of the red can go in my tomato soup. And why I'm doing red is not for flavor, for color, obviously. So let's get the rest in a container. That we're on Wednesday. So for lunch, I'm going to do a low-carb stir-fry with some broccoli stems that I diced up as like a broccoli rice instead of something like rice or noodles or anything like that. So these jalapenos, I will take the seeds out just because there's a lot more seeds. So yeah, stir fry, lots of vegetables. I'll use peppers, onions, chilies, garlic, onions, if I didn't mention already, some carrot, and the broccoli stems, and I'll have that with some of the pork that I mentioned. So I'll just cut those into small pieces. And then we were on dinner for Wednesday. I'll have more of that pulled pork, and I will serve that with a rice bowl. How fine do I don't need this too fine, so I'm just going to cut it into little ribbons. So lime cilantro rice, topped with pulled pork, some barbecue sauce. I'm not making my own barbecue sauce this time. Sometimes I do. Some of the jalapeno can go in my pulled pork. The rest can go in with the chilies for a couple meals. And then this orange reddish jalapeno, some of it also going to go in my tomato soup, and the rest I'll just use in things like the stir fry. But yeah, what to have for veg with my rice bowl? We'll just see. I can do some canned corn if I feel like it. I can do some of the pickles that I still have, like the pickled cucumbers. We'll just top it with something green or healthy. I like adding veg to as many things as possible. Then, on Thursday, I should have a little bit of pulled pork left over. So I'll do some pulled pork lettuce wraps, and instead of using barbecue sauce this time because I want to keep it low carb, I'll use some of the hot sauces I have. It wasn't in my grocery haul a couple of videos ago because I was just out for a walk and grabbing a drink, and I saw it in the store, so I didn't pick it up with the rest of my groceries. It was just a random day in the middle of the week. But I picked up some Tabasco. It's like it's called a Fiesta Caliente, I think, or something. It's like a hot salsa. So I like using that lately. or I have some sriracha, or a couple of other hot sauces that I'll just, they're not too hot, they're a little bit hot, but not too much, so that makes for a good replacement for things like barbecue sauce in a low-carb pulled pork. So, peppers are going to go in my stir-fry, in my, maybe my tacos. I'll put them in my couscous salad. So that's why I'm just cutting it into dices. And I will do the same for the red and the green. Then we're going to finish off our meal plan. So that was Thursday for lunch. Then for dinner on Thursday, I'm going to do some noodles with some pork. And veggies like the peppers, the onions, the garlic, the chilies, the carrot, all that good stuff. And Friday, I do fish Fridays. For lunch, I'm going to do like a tuna salad kind of thing. So I'll need some celery, some maybe some onion, mayo. I like doing some curry powder as well for flavor. And I'll do like a little tuna salad and put that in some lettuce wraps. So then for Friday, fish Friday, for dinner, I'm gonna do some, I have some breaded fish in the freezer. So I'll do some fish and chips. I'll do that broccoli, potato wedges. I'm not prepping the potatoes just yet, because if I do them now, they'll be brown by Friday. Most things last, some things do not. Potatoes don't last more than a day or two before they turn brown usually. So that's the only thing I'm not prepping, but also it takes about 10 seconds to cut a potato into wedges, so that's not a big deal if I don't prep it. But otherwise, I like having things cut and ready to go, so it just does not take me a lot of time to make lunch or dinner. And I never have an excuse to go out or not cook, because everything is ready. Don't want to waste it. So, and by cutting all the ingredients, prepping those instead of the whole meals, I can still be flexible. If I decide, for example, that I don't want that noodle bowl on a Thursday, I can have quinoa, I can have rice, I can have a number of other options. Just use the same ingredients in a different way. So I like having that flexibility still. You're not locked in, you're not having the same meal every day. But I do like using the same components, like the pulled pork. I'm just going to make a big batch, use it across several meals. So that makes things a bit easier and takes less time to prep. So yeah, that was the whole meal plan. I'm cutting up some tomatoes now. These are nice ripe tomatoes. And these are going to go in my soup. And I have a whole bunch of them. So I'm just going to work through all of them. Doesn't even need to be super fine because it's going to cook down, but you want to cut it down a little bit just to help it break down. And I know I said I was going to gather all my soup ingredients in a separate container, but the tomatoes I'm going to add at a slightly later time. So I want to keep that separate. Next up, let's do some cucumber. I like these Persian cucumbers. They're full of flavor. These are going to go in my couscous salad. So for that, I'm just going to cut it into slices lengthwise. And then turn them into spears. And then dice them up. And this is for my couscous salad. Just looking at the quantity here, I think one is enough for my couscous salad with all the other veggies I'm putting in. So sometimes they're a little bit bigger, sometimes a little bit smaller. So I did grab two, but this one I'll just have as a snack at some point during the week. I do really like cucumbers. Then next, we'll do some carrot. This is going to go in my soup, in my stir fry, etc. So for the soup, I'm not going to bother taking the peel off. I mean, it's for soup. I'm going to blend it anyway, so. And the skin is really thin. So I'm just going to cut it into slices. It doesn't have to be too fine. This is just the easiest way for me to cut. It's like my default cut thickness. Because I'm going to blend it, so the size doesn't matter that much as long as it gets done. So that can go in with my soup ingredients. Then I have a little bit of carrot left. By the way, if you want to see what exactly I'm using this week, every time when I post these Sunday Prep Day videos, I also post on Instagram the whole meal plan, all the ingredients that I'll be using, including things that are not veg, so you don't see me prep, but I will need later in the week, like the breaded fish for Friday, the soy sauce I'm going to use for the marinade for the pork, that kind of stuff. That's all in that list. You'll find a link to my Instagram below. But yeah, there's a whole post with like the before and after of the prep and all the ingredients and that kind of stuff in case you want to follow along. So, let's do some celery. So I need some celery for my tuna salad. So I'm just going to cut that lengthwise and just finely dice that. I just like having a little bit of crunch in my tuna salad. I don't need too much, about like half a rib. So that can go in a container. And then this part of the rib and one more, I'll just slice up for my soup. And again, doesn't need to be super fine. And that can go in with my soup ingredients. Next up, we have some parsley. Partly this is for my couscous salad. The leaf part, I want some for my soup to flavor it, but I don't want to have a lot of green in my soup, so I'm going to cut off the leafy parts, these stems with a little bit of leaves. This is what I'll throw in my soup. I'll leave it whole so I can take it out before I blend the soup because I don't want all that green. I want my soup to be nice and red. So, and this, I'll just run my knife through until this is nice and fine, and I'll mix this in with couscous, the cucumber, the peppers, all that good stuff. Sticking with herbs, here I have some cilantro for my lime cilantro rice. I've been really enjoying that lately. Same thing, I'll just cut the top, the leafy part. First a rough chop. I'll save the stems for things like curry paste and things like that. And then the leafy part, I'll just cut nice and fine. I'll use that in my lime cilantro rice. And then I have some broccoli. I'll just take off the leaves and the little remnants of leaves. So just take the florets off in nice bite-sized pieces. And those are for Friday with my fish and chips and for Tuesday with my pork. So I need 2 portions, so I'll do this head as well. There we go. And then the stems, don't throw them away. They have lots of flavor. Just make sure you don't have the little leaves on them and the little remnants. And I'll just dice that up. You can grate it or anything like that to make like a broccoli rice. Too much effort for me. I don't like a bit of texture. I like a little bit chunky. So I'm just gonna cut it towards the bottom and then across to get a nice fine-ish dice. And then I'm gonna use pretty much all of this stem except for this very end bit right here. The bottom is pretty dry and woody, so I don't want to use that on a whole one. Like this bottom part, about this much. that I'm not going to use. The rest is all fair game. And any offcuts from getting the fillets off, I'll just cut nice and fine as well. So let me quickly get that second stem done as well. And all that chopping took 26 minutes, so it doesn't really take that long to prep for the week. And right now I'm just gonna tidy up a bit, put some things away that I don't need anymore, and when I come back we'll start making the soup and the pulled pork. So while I'm putting things away, I'll also preheat my Ninja Foodies. I have two, one for the pulled pork, one for the soup. I'll preheat them on saute so they're hot and ready to go. Okay, now that my Ninja Foodies are warmed up, I'm gonna add a little bit of oil to both. I'm using a Ninja Foodie, by the way, just because it's easier. You can totally do this on a stovetop in a regular pan. You can do this in like a slow cooker. Or, you know, there's a bunch of ways to do it. I just like using my Ninja Foodies because first I can use them to saute, to soften my vegetables, and then I can use the pressure cooker to make the soup and the pulled pork just to make it go a little bit quicker, especially since I have to film this and then edit this, so anywhere I can save a little bit of time so I can get to editing is good in my book. So those pans are nice and hot. In one pan, I'm gonna saute some pork. This is just some stewing pork cut into rough chunks. I'm not gonna cook this all the way through yet. I'm just gonna give it a little bit of color because that gives it a little bit of flavor. And I will also add a bit of salt to that. And then in the other Ninja Foodie, I'm gonna put my starters for my soup ingredients. So I have my celery, carrot, onion, some chili, some I think some pepper as well. So I'll have that in there, and I'll put that in the other Ninja Foodie and saute that. You can use one at a time and just make one after the other, but again, I'm just trying to get this done so I can get to editing, so I'm doing two things at once, multitasking a little bit. But yeah, that gets a little bit of salt as well, and I'll just let that soften. And now that the pork has a little bit of color on it, I'm gonna add some veg. So here I have my garlic cloves, my onions, and some chili. And I'll just let that soften as well. And then for the soup, the vegetables have softened. So now is the time to add my tomatoes. And I'll just give those a few minutes as well to start breaking down. And before I forget, I'll add a little bit of black pepper to my tomato soup as well. So the vegetables with the pork have softened a bit, so now is the perfect time to add some apple cider vinegar, partly for flavor, but partly also because the acid will help break down the pork. And I'm just using up the rest of this bottle. And I'll add some water as well, enough to mostly submerge the meat. And then I will put my pressure cook lid on, make sure the valve is closed, switch it from saute to pressure cook. These are small-ish chunks, so I'll do 30 minutes on the pressure cooker, and that should cook the pork all the way through so that it starts falling apart. If you have bigger pieces, you might want to do 40 minutes. If you have even smaller pieces, like 20 minutes, just it depends on how big it is. And the soup ingredients have also softened. I'll add some water to that. I'm not going to add a bunch of water because there's going to be a bunch of water coming out of the tomatoes because I'm using fresh tomatoes and not tomato puree or something like that. And before I forget, put my parsley in because there's a lot of flavor in the stems. So I don't want to go to waste, but I don't want all the ingredient in there, like I said. So this can just go for 20 minutes. And then I'll just see you when this is all done. So that's the pork done. It's nice and tender. I just took that out with a strainer. So it's the pork and the onion and the garlic. And I'm just going to quickly use 2 forks to shred it. So that can just cool down. And when I want to use that, I'll mix it with some barbecue sauce or some hot sauce like I explained earlier. The soup is also done. So like I said, I'm just gonna take out the parsley. It did its job. It flavored the soup, but now I just don't want it in there anymore. So by leaving it whole, I can easily take it out. And then I'll just take my stick blender and blend it. Again, I can just let that cool down, and then when I want to use that tomorrow, I'll just heat that up. That's all the prep work done for this week. I can now have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes. Yeah, if you like this kind of content, I do this every single Sunday. And if you'd like to see what I do with all the ingredients that I prepped, you can check out my Instagram, which is linked below. I post every single meal there. Or you can check out the video that I post about once a month on here where I show you everything I eat in a day for a whole week. And I just started filming one today, so it should be coming out on Friday. So if that all sounds good to you, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Until next time, bye for now.